there's a relief there, right? We're both we're qualified for Worlds. At this point, we're playing for a title. The title's very important. It's very honorable. It's very prestigious. But there's almost like this, like, oh, I can breathe moment now. I got to this position. I am here now, and I can put myself, like, no matter what happens, I'm a winner. The titles are fantastic, that's what we're going for, but now it's like, okay, let's see how these players can play now that they're a bit looser. The shoulders are a little bit looser. They know that it's not make or break, that they will have another opportunity at Worlds, and now here we're just playing to really just go for who comes out with the prestige. As we do fire it off into the gameplay here, again, this is a mirror match. Both players on the exact same 50. Ahmad here on the left and Blayne here on the right. Blayne having gone second with that EX resource to the right, as we see a tempo gun tank up against a Graze custom.
And I don't want to be the doomer, but when you see the tempo gun tank come out, you kind of know what type of hand was kept or mulliganed into, because there are many better just bodies to put out and units to put out, such as the Hyzak or the Graze. So he's trying to put bodies on board so when the EX base is cracked, we can make some forward progress. And we are seeing the Graze custom come in to deal 2 damage, and then the Corsica base coming in to get that card from Shields, making the token. Yes, Ahmad is making his assault. He's building it up right now.
Yeah, the early Corsica base being one of the most represented cards actually here in this top cut. Extremely powerful, comes down with a body in the late game, comes down with the 2 bodies, helps you close out the game. Doing that early, knowing, you know what, I'm gonna lose my EX base anyways in this next set of swings, so I can just take this draw, establish a big beefy 4-2, and kind of go from there as Blayne kicks it off with the Barbados First Form, linking with the Mikazuki Ping Ping. 1 damage there on the Grace Custom, and here we're gonna go ahead and swing, crack that base, get our draw, and now we're in a position to be able to clear out the Grace Custom if we want to, or just apply more pressure.
Yep. And this is one of those things where, ooh, that's gonna be a huge card. But this is one of those things where, like I said, he set up his board wide enough, to be able to crack the base and then go in with that damage. He did indeed catch a Mikazuki to his opponent's hand, as well as the Corsica from Shield. So, yes, he made a lot of momentum, but it's not like his opponent didn't capitalize off of it.
Yeah, nice gun tank there to also keep the board clear. And actually, you know, most times hitting a base off Shield, you're like, man, gives them additional draw. I almost want to sigh a relief if I'm hitting a Corsica off the base, because they didn't get the bodies, right? So it's just like, it's one less Corsica I have to deal with. It's one less that my opponent's gonna have to see. So that's huge here. And I think Blayne has done a fantastic job of keeping the board clear here. He's got body advantage on board. So now Ahmad is kind of in that back foot of like, now I need to board control. But it's not only that, Blayne has put Ahmad down to 2 shields.
Yes.
So like, we're in a position where I have board control and tempo control. And even if you press against me to clear out my board, it's probably gonna cost you your board, and I still have the ability to establish board first. So it is a very tough position here on Ahmad's side.
Yes, and with only 4 resources going into this turn, there is not a terrible amount that he can do to this board. Moreover, a singular Mikazuki or Amuro in Blayne's hand could allow a route to break this Corsica base and have the rest of the bodies go through. So I know this is probably the most crucial turn of the game.
Yep, I think I see triple Mikazuki here in Ahmad's hand. Specifically the special edition Toyotaro art ones, which is my choice of pilot here. We do see the secondary adept here to get that additional ping, clear out the Barbados First Form, and self-ping there. And it looks like we are just gonna go ahead and take a clean up there, take that gun tank, and that looks to be all that was written for this turn as we pass it back over to Blayne.
Yes, and as I was stating before, this was a really tough turn for Ahmad because all he could do was try to clean up the board. There were simply not enough resources. 2 more resources, and he could have had a full clear easily. But with this amount of resources, he just has to kind of tidy it up and hope he can weather the storm. Now, luckily for him, it doesn't like Blayne has an amazing hand.
I think here we're looking for a Gramps Link potentially. If not, maybe we're in a position where we're just going to do some cleanup damage with that gun tank and see if we can do something about that base. But our own Corsica is definitely something that we can do.
That's a very, very good drop right here. I was noticing his earlier draws were just kind of like multiplying the options in his hand. Show of Resolve is an excellent pickup, but not when you've used all of the resources needed, because he might not get that gap turn for a couple turns. The more resources that Ahmad gets, the more, like, his hand has gas in it. He has the Mikazukis, he has the abilities, but we are going to get rid of the Tall Geese token while making more bodies. constantly setting up the board for a threat. The moment your Corsica base is gone, so are you. That is what Blayne is setting up on this.
And that's why we're holding back these bodies, saying that's fine. The chip damage on the base right now won't matter too much. We're going to wait until the next turn where I can do something with this tall geese potentially to be able to crack the base and then swing 3 damage. So technically right now, with any pump on board, potentially representing lethal damage here, but we do go into the first form Barbados. Ahmad here with the teched out deck. All of these alt arts super shiny here. We do have the Mikazuki Link. We are going to ping the 1 damage here on the tall geese, likely representing an additional ping oncoming soon as we do go for the swing for the Corsica base, get that draw clear, and just a massive hand here on Ahmad. So many options. Blayne can draw at some point, so thankfully he does have the tempo on his side to do that, but it does look like the second Mikazuki is going to do that cleanup of that tall geese.
This is going to be a little scary. We got some clean sequencing here, hitting with the weaker adept to make sure. But this is swinging in. You have to put Blayne on the clock, but you have to also hope you don't give him a pilot that maybe he was looking to top deck. But yeah, you have to. Ooh, that's a Fatal Strike drawn to hand, which is an excellent pickup right now. Actually, no. Yeah, it's an excellent pickup because we have the Barbatos.
Cleanup here. You know, we lost an RX-78 in those shields, so a little bit less there, but we still have the opportunity to percent tempo. It's just right now that base is really tough. We can clean up just about most of the board. So the biggest thing is like, what can we do after that? And it does look like we are going to clean up the Barbados there, which is very good. You have to. You can't give your opponent those additional draws. You could show of resolve here, though that's not an amazing position to be in.
A show of resolve, it doesn't necessarily, like, with that many cards in hand, you could just die after using show this turn. So he has to get rid of one of these bodies. That is the unfortunate part, but that Corsica is the wall standing tall right now.
Yep, so there's the Hyzak with that additional ping from the Adept there to clear out one of the Adepts, and then we're just going to keep going wide. Base still representing trouble, but we are representing a 4-card board. It is 1 draw. You know, if one swing here from Ahmad to give Blayne an Amuro in hand, maybe a top deck RX-78, or even just any link really, puts Blayne in a really comfortable position to be able to close out this game in this next turn. So we'll see how Ahmad responds, how much board control he's going to do versus how much pressure he needs to do versus Blayne's 3 shields.
Yes, this is really the crazy part. And yes, even though he has, I believe, 6 resources up, providing 2 links is an ask. That is an ask. So it is likely that Blayne's going to survive this turn, but the question is how much of his board survives into the following turn. We were just talking about it earlier, but Adept was doing work being able to soften up things for just chumps, and they're doing a pretty good job at taking each other's boards. All
right, so first swing, Guntank in. Reminder, of course, this is the best 2 out of 3 in an untimed finals. So there'll be an opportunity to bounce back for however this game swings here. But does look like after the first swing, we've got the Hyakuren here, and then the follow-up Alex, I believe?
Well, that's the, you got the Gundam new type NT1, and that's a huge body with the on-pair effect still there. So later, there could just be a Mikazuki that comes up. We see a show of resolve in his hand still. He has a Gundam RX-78. He's got gas. If he finds another pilot, he's in the money. And next turn, I do believe he has enough resources to play show. And if he draws the Amuro, he's got the Gundam as well, and that would be lights out.
Yep, so Blayne here just thinking through, what can I do? Opponents representing lethal right now. How much do I have to board control? At what point can I press damage? Does look like we're going to start with the show here, so be able to draw 2 cards. 3 resources still open. We are just kind of looking for a pilot here. We draw into 2 RX-78s here. Then we're going to go ahead and pay the 2 to play another Adept here, get another ping damage somewhere on this board. And does look like we're going to have to do a little bit of cleanup to try to hedge us dying next turn. We're going to go ahead and swing and make that trade there. 4 bodies on 2, but like you were saying, Ahmad is just 1 card away from being able to guarantee a lock in here no matter what happens. So we'll have to see what he top decks there. 1 more resource here left for Blayne. I don't think he has any additional options with that, so it's just, do I go and swing like 4 damage here into this Corsica base? Is that really what I want to do here? And potentially bait my opponent into being greedy?
It's really scary because there is a world where turning his board sideways like he is right now puts him at a weird position of just getting his board blown out while he has a severe lack of hand compared to his opponent. But like I said, going up to 6 resources is enough to play Show of Resolve, and anything he gets off of it. The Fatal Strike as a top deck, no, it's okay. It's getting rid of a gun tank, and that's not really too optimal. But I think it's just the show of resolve. See what you get, play out what you get.
Yep, we'll have to see where it goes here. Ahmad has so many options. But technically, depending on how aggressive he odds to swing, and depending on what those shields are looking like, Blayne could actually be in a good position. But nope, Ahmad playing it a little bit slowly, saying, you know what, we're going to board control here, so swing in on the Adept to clear out a gun tank as well. Could just go with the Fatal Strike here, get rid of additional body. And now you're in a position where you are really kind of securing your position.
Yep.
You feel comfortable, you still have your base, you have 2 shields. The opponent is in a much more top deck heavy position than you are, right? Like, I think Ahmad has 7 cards in hand currently to Blayne's 3. So we are going to go ahead and kick it off with a RX-78, pay an additional 2, drop another Hyakurin, and then pay an additional 2 to Fatal Strike that gun tank, kind of securing your position. You know that you're incredibly, incredibly unlikely to lose out here. That repair massive in these matchups because it's just that ping damage just becomes kind of irrelevant. So Blayne in a very tough position here as he's kind of just drawn units. Another Adept. You can make something happen here, but very tough board to try to make a comeback from. You we talked about this, you know, in our earlier round where you got to play to win. There are definitely plays here that can buy him maybe another turn, but to play for that win is a very tough position at the moment.
Yes, and we are just 3 sets into the Gundam card game, but body tempo, unit tempo is a very, very important concept in this game. And right now, Ahmad has not only made sure his field is stacked, but he's also eliminated all of Blayne's options. So this turn, Blayne, without 2 pilots, couldn't go for game if he wanted to. And now we're sitting here with the best he can do, like Aspira said, is clearing up the board and trying to survive next turn. But with more attacks than he has shields, it's not looking good, especially with Ahmad going up to 8 resources and still having that show of resolve in hand.
Yeah, now we're pretty much in prey territory. We're hoping that this last 2 things. 1, opponent doesn't have a link, and 2, this last swing here, is it a base? It is not a base, unfortunately. And Ahmad going for that swing here, taking the first win in this finals. Ahmad up 1 in this Gundam card game of finals. A blue-purple mirror, just huge amount of advantage. And I think that's one of the things where in the Gundam card game you try to get so much out of value out of each individual card because it can make such a difference. And if you're in a position where you've just outcarded your opponent by like 5 cards in hand, that advantage will show itself incredibly quickly. Just one deck having many more options. We can see here in this game that our player on the right here unfortunately did miss out on a lot of links in this game versus his opponent just being able to mount a very unsurmountable board, which just didn't give him the finishing power he needed. 1 link would have changed everything. That's just the power of link plays here in the Gundam card game.
Yep, and especially in the mirror, multiple Mikazukis in the same hand. Like how Ahmad, I believe, had access to 3 Mikazukis that game. Every Mikazuki Adept is 2 damage to something. And in a game where you're playing these Hyzaks, these GMs, these Grays customs, that's a kill spell. That's a point and click right there. And every time you can take out a body without even needing to attack into it is a time where you can attack into shields, you can attack into a base, you can clear another unit. And so Ahmad seeing those 3 Mikazukis that early really allowed him to never lose tempo. And in the mirror, tempo is everything.
Yeah, 100%. But of course, this is a best 2 out of 3. Players will have the opportunity to be able to make a swing back at it. We did see in our last match that's going to game 3. And there's a lot of openings there for players to kind of see one thing or the other. Thing is here, being not only a mirror match, but an exact 50 mirror match means that both players are going into this matchup being like, I literally know exactly what you're doing, right? I know what your options are. I know what you're looking for. I know what you're trying to do in this matchup. So it's more so just about, can we see what we know we need to see to make this matchup a win, and see if maybe one of these players, more versed in the matchup, something like that, can find an edge up on a play here and there. But I think we are going to see many more opportunities here where the discussion of today has really been, how do I make the plays to win? A lot of plays are going to be force your opponent to have it because I need to apply pressure now or else I'm not going to be able to close out the game here as players set up in this game 2.
Now, yep, and we do see that Ahmad is in the process of mulliganing, whereas Blayne is already set up. Don't know if he mulliganed or not. But yeah, we're looking at least the Hyzak in Blayne's hand, so he has a turn 1 play if he takes the EX resource. Oh, okay, the EX resource is on Ahmad's side.
Yep, so here Blayne opting to go first. And do you go first or second, Uni?
In this particular matchup, in the mirror, now, like, people may flame me for this, but I think the quicker you can play Mikazuki, the better, because it will allow you to, the moment you get to level 4, you can play Adept with Mikazuki, which is likely just ruining a body while providing a forward press, and I think that's very, very important.
Yep, so here we do see the firing off of a double Gundam there, and there's primarily just there as an additional 2-2, as here we do have the Hyzak and pass here from Blayne. So double 2-2 representation on the board here as we go to Ahmad's level 3 turn swing here, get 2 damage on that EX base, and then pay the 2 here to go into a Hyakurin, big 4-3 stat line, before passing it back over to Blayne for their 3rd energy turn, and quite a few options from the looks of it here on 3 resources.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the tank. I did see a gym in hand.
Yeah.
So there's an opportunity here to maybe go, it could go Corsica base. That is something you could do.
Corsica, gym, it's a little hard to see his hand.
Looking like the play here might just be Barbados first form and a gym.
Get the board wide and set yourself up for an adept play, which can push forward into draws, and there's a lot of good momentum that he can spawn here. And just like you said, just going wide. Now, his opponent does have a fatal strike, and that is curtains for that Barbatos.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate here. Blayne opting to go for some board control here, and that's the thing. Things like fatal strike, like you're saying, the plays of the Adept plus the Mikazuki here that could potentially take out that Barbados first form. We saw how important hand advantage is in this matchup, and if you can deny your opponent those free draws, that one card pays multiple cards with the dividends as we go into the late game. So we'll see what options we have to here. The only trade-off, of course, being that, like, if you end up going for the fatal strike, you're maybe not really establishing your board beyond that. You can swing with the Hyakurin. Maybe the gym goes into it, and you leave that open for something like a gun tank or something like that. So it's trading off board for board, and then giving Blayne potentially the opportunity to be able to swing back. But it does look like we're just going, oh, you know what? Link ramps, pretty good instead.
Yeah. I mean, he said, wait, why not clear the Barbatos and make a body? But realistically, whatever way you choose to do it, you have to get rid of that Barbatos before it turns into 2 cards, maybe even 3 cards. Not generally in this mirror match, but yeah, you can't allow your opponent to get into more resources. And that is the first step. Now, when it comes to putting down Gundam with Amuro, especially in this matchup, it gets very hard. You have to almost one-shot the Gundam, or you're not getting rid of it. Because right now he has one window, a singular window of getting rid of this card before it kind of gets out of reach.
Yep.
However, he is crashing, putting more damage onto it, and then he just needs one more piece of damage. Yep, sure. There we go. And so, hey, handled expertly, but that was his window.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the kind of pressure that Amuro RX-78 do. It's like, if this stays on board for more than one turn, I am losing so much value. In previous sets, it was almost like, okay, I have to commit my Link swing into this thing, lose out 2 cards on it, because or else it just kind of runs house. The repair's a big deal, especially in this matchup where ping damage is so important. You do just kind of need to, especially on curve, commit an entire turn to just say, I'm going to deal with this threat before I can go ahead and resume trying to do my game plan.
Correct, but it is nice that he dealt with the threat while still making bodies. I find it funny that despite all the discourse about Amuro, this is powerful, that Amuro wasn't really used in the first game, and in this game, Amuro Gundam just immediately got pushed off.
Here we're giving Hyakurin an additional stat to try to help to keep it on board, I presume. Or I could rest for like a double gun tank type situation maybe. So there's the Adept for the ping damage. On the undamaged Adept. And then 1 to go into a Mikazuki, get that additional ping.
Okay, so now it has 4. So we can get rid of the Barbatos. We can get rid of the Barbatos Adept that's already there.
And then swing. Okay, so we're playing aggressively. So we're just saying, no, I just
setting up damage. And
I just want to keep being bad damage, and this additional stat should make it a little bit harder for you to deal with this Hyakurin, which means you're just gonna have to commit more to playing defense. Whereas I just want to keep applying pressure. But that's a lot of cards. I mean, like, we're down to 2 cards in Ahmad's hand versus Blayne being in a position to very much get back control of the board.
Yeah, it is kind of one of those points where he's like, I'm up on shields, I still have my EX base, I'm pressing into his shields, and I have the bigger body. So he has to react to me. I think that generally is a good position to put your opponent on, especially if your hand is starting to dwindle or be weak. However, at the same time, we all know this deck is extremely good at dealing out damage without having to sacrifice their board tempo.
Yep.
So this is one of those positions where he's probably going to clear most of his board. Well, he's going to clear one body without needing to attack onto it if he has like a singular gun tank. I can't quite tell in his hand. It might not be. See,
it's a Corsica, and I'm not too sure what that last one is. But we do see the ping there with the rebake, and then looks like we're going to just do some cleanup with the trade there. So just a Amuro paired Hyakurin here on Ahmad's board, while Blayne has the rebake as well as his own adept. One resource up left. I guess could potentially throw Amuro under and then go into the Hyakurin. That is an option that's possible. But no, looks like we are just going to save that in our back pocket and pass here. Draw here looks like potentially an Amuro. So that's going to be a first swing here. Does have the ability to block if he wants to. Thinking about it.
Thinking about it hard, actually. He's like, am I ever getting this card back? Like, you have to know.
Yeah, so it does look like it's going to be a block there. 3 damage on the Hyakurin. Does survive with 1. And then that's just a pass, opting to not play the Tempo Gun Tank. And then I think it's just 2 pilot. No, it's a Fatal Strike and then the Amuro on Ahmad's hand. So Blayne here does it. Oh, with that show of resolve, this would be a huge opportunity to be able to do that right now. Get that refresh. Your opponent is struggling on cards. You can use this opportunity to be able to go up on cards and then do some massive tempo swings on the subsequent turn here.
And we are at 6 resources?
I believe so.
No. Oh, we were.
Yeah, so there's the rebake.
And this is good. Establishing a blocker while getting rid of your opponent's card. Excellent. And if he ends up serving it back to a Blayne next turn, we have a perfect time to Corsica and Show of Resolve in the same turn, which I thought was potentially going to be the play this go, but this does really work on getting rid of that. Now, we are seeing another Gundam in Amuro. We are seeing another attack, and that's light work for this. Taking 3 damage to repair 2.
Yeah, sitting at 1, like you're super comfortable. I mean, just the perfect top deck here of the Gramps. But I think, you know, this is one of those plays like you kind of have to do it, but because now you're forcing the onus, but the card advantage, you know, that cost us 2 cards, and we only had 4 cards in hand. If Blayne has like an elegant way to be able to deal with this, we're still back to being in an uncomfortable position. Pay the 3 going for the Corsica base here is going to be able to set that up and get the draw. I think we just drew into another Corsica base, but here we will get, I believe, the Talgis. I think this is our first one here. So. We have 4 resources left. Could go Show of Resolve and maybe like a gun tank or something, but we'll have to see because we do want to deal with this Gramps. That is something that we want to deal with right now, just because if we deal with this Gramps, opponent's going up to 3, Ahmad's going up to 3 cards in hand, you're in a much more comfortable position. And it does look like we go for our own RX-78 here. Gonna get that pump. And we're going to play a little aggressive. Okay, and then we are just going to go for the trade. I like this quite a bit. Yeah.
Getting rid of that EX base while you can, getting rid of the trade, because at the end of the day, that Gundam means a lot more to Ahmad than it does to Blayne.
Is that just another Fatal Strike? Gets rid of tokens, I guess. I mean,
it is, but
going 1 for 1 here when you're the deck with no cards in hand is just not where you want it.
Not even the Tempo Gun Tank, you just had to use it. And this is an incredibly good place. Like you said, you like that play, I like that play. He really said, you know what, you have nothing past this Gundam, I'm pretty sure. I still have a whole hand.
And then just making sure that we have a resource for turn. Show is pretty good here. Just kind of digging our opponent down in advantage. And then we got the draw of the Hyzak as well as the Mikazuki here. So swing, and now it's really on Blayne to be able to apply pressure. Ahmad in a tough top deck position, maybe with the right pilot or 2 hit on those shields, can amount a comeback, but it is very tough in this position where he has no cards in hand.
Yep, and I saw the disappointment when that Show of Resolve was flashed. Ahmed shook his head like he has 2 cards, his opponent just drew 2 cards. Like it's gonna be rough because at this point he's hoping to see cards off the top of his deck, and it's not even like he has a pilot or a linkable unit in hand to draw into. He's just oh no, another
fatal strike. I mean, it is fatal, that's for sure, just maybe not on one way more than the other. Very tough position to be here for Ahmad, just not drawing anything, and Blayne just running away with this game, drawing his own double fatal strike turn after turn, but had put himself in a position to just have the stronger board to be able to clear out the game. We do get the Mikazuki draw. That makes things very possible depending on the top deck here for Ahmad. If you can get a Barbados first form, be able to clear some board, get an additional card draw, could make something happen. But here we're just going to see the deployment of Corsica base doing what Corsica base does, draw that additional card, get those 2 Leos on board. I believe Corsica Base actually being one of the most represented cards here in this top 16 cut. So very powerful. I mean, the 2 bodies for 1, you get that card draw, so you get the card back in your hand. Absolutely massive.
Yes, and we are at a position where even though he knows one of these Corsica Base, or one of these Leo tokens can easily be removed if the Mikazuki gets to drop, he still just has so many bodies. In this pack, over double the bodies that his opponent has shields. It's looking grim.
Yeah, but technically not over. We can double Fatal Strike. We can get rid of the token.
Mikazuki.
Get the Mikazuki here. We can do a little bit of cleanup. If that lasts, if we got a shield in here, technically possible, but of course Blayne, depending on what the, oh, never mind. The Mikazuki kind of logs that in here. So it's just going to be another Mikazuki drop. Here we're just going to go through the procedures. Last swing here, Blayne taking it back. 1-1 both sides, Ahmad and Blayne.
Yes.
Giving it their all here, very much a forceful strike here. And we can see, once again, another game advantage. Game 1, we had over on Ahmad's side, 7-card hand to like a 3-card hand. Here on Blayne's side, not as much of a hand disparity. We were looking closer to being at about 5 or 6 cards to about 2 to 3 cards in hand. But again, you're just so stuck in a position where like, okay, well now if I'm going 1 for 1, we do that 2 or 3 times. If I'm the player with 2 or 3 cards in hand, I've got nothing. Whereas my opponent still has 2 to 3. Those are units that could represent multiple swings into shields, and it just puts me in a very tough position to crawl my way back.
Yes, sir. And this is a game where the main function, the main draw, linking, that mechanic, it's a 2-card requirement. So once you start going beneath 4 cards in the hand, your options are fairly limited, and you have to try to figure out what you're getting from your burst. You have to see if you can get into your cards like Show of Resolve, like your cards like Overflowing Affection. But we have seen 2 different games where the tempo was fairly well placed on one side or another. I'm hoping this 3rd game is that back and forth.
What was that? 3rd game? Man, isn't best of 3 so cool?
Oh, you know what? Now that you think about it, I think it is. I think everybody could see. It's looking pretty good. This is how I like to play the game.
That's very exciting. And again, as a reminder to everyone at home, this will be also very similar to the format for the World Championship. The World Championship in March will be a best of 3 with a 10-card sideboard. If you guys want to see more of how those tournaments play out, the replays for the Japan finals that also happened this weekend would be a great place to see how those games played out. As both players here get ready, get their initial draws, we do see here Blayne setting up his shields, and then maybe Ahmad thinking on mulligan here. So we'll kind of see where he lands. We do see a 0-0 in hand, so maybe just keeping it to be able to get it aboard. We got the fist bumps. It looks like we'll be jumping right into this matchup, as we do have the EX resource here on Blayne's side, who will be going second and going into this first turn. Let's see if he's got a turn 1 play. Looks like a no. 2, no. I thought I saw another 0-0 in there. It seems that is not correct.
Not sure if he mulliganed or if he just knew the hand was amazing.
Ooh, Rizal, very nice here. So there could be a world here where when we were informed about the same 50, it's like, oh, Hyakurin is the same thing as a Rizal. The 0-0 is the same thing as a Hyzak. We do see here the early Corsica base, get that draw, get that 4-2 body on board. And the biggest thing that it does is it sets up future Corsica bases. Now you're in a position where what you really want are the 2 bodies, and if you get out an early Corsica base, you're in a position to be able to kind of deal with that. And also, Rizal now doesn't deal with the current base on board. So yeah, Rizal would have been able to get rid of the X resource, but it's a very similar position here where you're kind of dealing with a 5 HP base instead.
Mm-hmm. And I see that there was a gun tank in Blayne's hand. Not sure if there's another card that will be able to follow up with ping. Because clearing the O gun would be good if you didn't have to touch it, and then you can at least put some damage on Corsica.
We do see the RX-78 here, but presumably no link. I don't even know if this is like a super fortuitous link. If we wanted to go for it, you could clear the tall geese. You could clear the. Well, it does look like we are going to opt for it. So we're going to go ahead and use burning that EX resource, go into the Amuro Ray link with the RX-78 here. Rest mode down the token, and it does look like we're just going to go face. And the question is, are we going to deal with that token or not? And we will take 4, but then we'll be able to repair.
2.
So it'll ask Ahmad to potentially have to do some damage here. So it does look like we're going to go down that route, down 4 HP here, but end of turn repair, we'll build that up to 2. with the 2-2 on board, that means that Ahmad just needs to find 1 damage.
Exactly. And we're going up to level 4, so just a singular adapt. It looks like I see 2 fatal strikes in his hand.
Ooh.
And now we're returning.
I was like, you know what, that play was so cool. I'm going to do it myself, and this is devastating because here, this does allow, with the RX-78's BP bump, or AP bump, to be able to clear out with the 2-2, and then we go into our own RX-78, clear out the Rezell, and now we've got our own BP stat line. And like we were talking about last game, this is a must-answer threat. Every single turn that the RX-78 stays on board, it just demands so much more from you, and it takes away so much more advantage.
Yes, and we do see the Mikazuki in his hand. I'm just not quite sure if we can spot any card. Is that a first form next to the Mikazuki that you shuffle around?
Can't tell from here. I mean, we've got the Mikazuki, we've got the gun tank. You just need to find 1 more damage somewhere in there.
Yeah, and if it is a first form, I think you just rip it. You get the Gundam off the board, you get your draw.
You get your draw replaced.
And you just call it a day, because that card, like we've been saying, the moment he passes back, that card becomes not invincible, but it's definitely going to be annoying to touch, period.
Yeah, so we're going with the 3 here. Just look like we have our own RX-78 once more. And then are we leaving it at that, potentially? Pay the 1. Gun tank. Interesting. So what this effectively does is, like, next turn, even with your repair 2, you're going to be down to 4 HP. And maybe that lines up my next turn, whereas the 5 HP threshold is a little bit too much for what I have lined up here. Oh my!
Yeah,
this is devastating.
This is a blowout.
Here. Another RX-78 Link. I mean, we've been saying since the early sets that this is the most powerful turn 4 play. Turns out it could have an argument to be one of the most powerful turn 5 plays in the game here. I mean, this is huge. They both heal. They both go back to 4 HP. It's a must-answer threat. And then we wrap it up with a tempo gun tank.
Yes, this is, in this particular mirror in general, there's not a crazy amount of cards that get over this, like, just naturally. And this is, you would hate to see this if you were Blayne.
Turns out linking's really good.
Linking is very, very good.
All right, here we go into Blayne's next turn. Considering on the Mikazuki again, this is a very tough position. Usually, in this kind of board state, a linked RX-78 would be demanding almost your entire turn worth to try to get rid of. And that's only dealing with 1, which once again is a must-answer threat. So now we're in a position where we have 2 that we need to deal with. That is a lot to demand out of a hand, especially when you're only down to 5 resources here. So we are going to go and decide to aggro Mikazuki in Ahmad's hand. Ahmad just drawing everything here as we go into our own first form with Mikazuki here. We're going to get the ping on the gun tank, and presumably here we're just going to go offer up the trade, get an additional draw, so at least we're staying up.
Ooh.
Okay, well, we see a gun tank that could do something a little bit after. Presumably here we're going to go for like an adept or something like that to be able to clear the gun tank. Or maybe that was just the 1 damage that could stick, knowing it wasn't going to repair away at the end of the turn.
Yeah, it looks like this is one of those games where, unfortunately, variance is a factor. Your opponent seeing double Gundam Link, getting a Mikazuki from Shields versus you playing Hyzax. It is what it is, but this is every turn that we move forward from here is just a turn where more momentum is building on Ahmad's side.
Yep, I mean, Blayne had to spend 1 turn dealing with 1. Gonna have to spend another turn dealing with another. This is a free with the Fatal Strike, keeping the board clear. This attack was free because of the repair 2 at the end. We get the Hyakurin on board. We're gonna be able to get another 2-2 on board. Now we're representing 4 damage going to this next turn. And now we have a full, healthy STO1 Gundam. Here we do see the draw of the rebake. We have the gun tank. So we can clear the gun tank for essentially free. We have a block, which might help us stabilize. Still have 5 shields, so lots of room to be able to get some advantage back, but Ahmad is clearly setting up for a big rush into the shields as opposed to chipping away at them, and then potentially kind of going for a closeout turn after that. Ahmad's hand starting to slow down, though. We see, I think, double Mikazuki here. So really, really solid pilot draws here from Ahmad, and then I think a Fatal Strike potentially in the back. So if Blayne can position himself to deal with this board, might be able to make a comeback here.
We definitely could. He's got to deal with half of this board this turn to be able to put himself in a position of stabilization.
Yep, so here we go with the rebake. It's gonna go ahead and clear the gun tank. Now, unfortunately, we might be pressed to make some tempo plays, which is rough. At least the 3 attack blocker. Nope, we're just gonna pass the 3 AP blocker here. Could at least you're not dealing with the RX-78 here, but at least you can deal with the Hyakurin and preferably the O Gundam. So at least you can go ahead and block that. But we'll have to see where that is, as we do have double Mikazuki, Fatal Strike, and another O Gundam in hand.
Yeah, the thing that would be crazy
offer?
right now. He said trade offer.
Yeah, I think you just take this, and then if they remove it, fine. But
half of his board gone. He can take 2 shields away from you. That's fine. Hopefully you get something from him if you're Blayne. That's what you're hoping for. It's like you said, Ahmad is potentially going to run out of steam, potentially. But we are looking at this position. Yeah, he had to readjust the damage because of Gundam's little buff.
Yep.
And ooh, an adept going to the trash.
So here you could play the Ogum. You could just throw a Mikazuki on there to get rid of the rebake, and that does look like what we're going to do. Put the 1 damage on the RX-78, get that repair at the end of the turn. And just every turn, Ahmad having a means to say, your board is not something I have to be a concern of myself with, whereas Blayne is trying to crawl back here. I think we see a draw of a Fatal Strike. So not a phenomenal... I mean, the Fatal Strike on the O is actually pretty good. Yeah.
Or it gets rid of either one of them.
Yeah.
They're both the same stat line right now.
Yeah, that is true. So at least you can deal with that. Ahmad doesn't have a hand that does much of anything. You're still in a position to maybe come back. It's just the problem that the bodies that Blayne has access to don't do a wonderful job of dealing with this board, especially a repairing RX-78. That if you just don't deal with it right away, these are the kind of board states we were talking about. It does look like the option here for the Fatal Strike will be the O Gundam here, as we do play out a gun tank. And then potentially looking like we're just going to play out the Alex. Does look like it.
All right. This, I mean, he's still not out of the game yet, even with a top deck link.
The Corsica top deck.
Look, I don't know what you want me to say here. That was
so good. I mean, Ahmad's solid setup of draws here. The Corsica going to be able to deploy 2 Leos, get that additional draw, so it doesn't even cost you a card in hand. You want a base anyways, as we get the swings here and try to set up for lethal.
Yeah, when your opponent's burst is gas and your burst is not, that's gonna hurt. 2 adepts coming from the shield area.
Yep, there you see the Corsica. I couldn't see what the draw was there, but the double Leo's on board now, representing 4 attacks to 1 shield. And then does look like we have another body that we can put down, so just a tough position. We do see our own Alex here on the other side and just saying, Blayne, do something here.
You know, it's kind of rough, but not even a Lupus could save us right now.
I believe we drew RX-78. I think I saw Amuro in hand. So maybe we have a link play here. So there's a lineup where, like, if this last shield is a base, maybe.
I mean, all he could really do right now is try to run over a couple of cards, and he would still be leaving like the Leo tokens on board. This is rough.
Yep, here's the RX-78. Here's the one for the link into the Amuro array. Unfortunately, a little bit late, but we'll see what the target is. The target is the Alex. And now I believe with the AP bump that we have, we can do a board clear here. So we're going to go ahead and swing the Alex, probably going into the RX-78, presumably.
Good setup.
And then we've got the linked RX-78 here going into the Alex. And now Blayne is just hoping for the best. So pass turn here, no cards in hand, hoping that a shield is able to save us. Double Leo on board could represent lethal. We'll see what Ahmad ends up drawing into here to see if we can finalize.
Fatal Strike burst.
Would be huge. So there are a couple of options here that keep Blayne into this game. RX-78 here on board. Gonna go ahead and play the Mikazuki here to get that ping on the Gundam. Gonna go and take the hit here, and it is a Mikazuki, and unfortunately that swing here, Ahmad walking away as your North American champion, taking this down 2-1 in this blue-purple mirror.
That was great. That was great. Look, we saw a bunch of heads-up plays from both players. We saw pivots, we saw momentum and tempo, and say what you will about the purple-blue dominance at this event, but we saw a masterful game right there, and it was good to have that as our final game for the North America Finals.
Yeah, 100%. Both players played excellently. You love to see it go to a game 3, that pressure, that tempo, and we can just see the power of this blue-purple deck. And of course, the power of link plays, right? Being able to align those pilots with those feature mobile suits as we see the handshakes here of the homeboys on the center stage. But, you know, just the ability to be able to extend and push your plays, get that tempo, and the power of the RX-78 to be able to repair, stay healthy, clean up the board. And if you get that back-to-back, well, this Game 3 was a wonderful demonstration of just how back-breaking that can be.